Well, this is an exciting video. For the first time on iRacing, I get to compare something old with something new. That's right, GT4 has had a comprehensive overhaul, including receiving iRacing's new tyre model, an increase in engine power, and a reduction in vehicle aerodynamics, which brings them more in line to the current IMSA spec version of this car. With such a big change, I was very keen to see how this would affect the racing and driving of these cars, and it's safe to say that these races at Indianapolis Road Course certainly showed me that there is a lot of differences now with this new GT4 car. We'll summarize some points at the end of this video, but let's jump straight into the racing and show you how I got on with it. So welcome to the Indianapolis Road Course. We're coming to the end of our first flying lap in qualifying here at race 1, and unfortunately it ends with a very lazy spin into turn 13. The cold tyres of these GT4s already playing their part, and I had a lot of these sorts of spins in practice, trying to understand this car around this Indy road circuit. So all to play for here on this second qualifying lap. We're in split 2 as door card number 3, so I would quite like to start near the front of this one and see if we can't get a result in these first GT4 races. So let's take you for a lap of the Indy circuit and try and tell you a little bit about what I was feeling with this car on the new tyre. And you'll see here through sector number 1 just how different this car is on the cold tyres without the Aero and the more power that these cars have. Always playing with the throttle here through sector number 1. Crucial turn 4 here, trying to square the car up as early as possible to get on the power and a nice straight line through the chicane here. These cars definitely did not enjoy trying to turn through that chicane too much. Easy to spin the rear tyres up and cause a massive spin down this back straight. Now, crucial braking zone here into turn number 7, trying to flow the car through here, missing that inside curb, it's a very big curb to hit, and then taking lots of the curb through turns 8 and 9. Actually getting over to the left, trying to cut this inside turn 10 as much as possible, and again trying to get on the power while the car is turning. It's a much trickier prospect with this new tyre model. Flat through turn 11, the banking helping a little bit at the end there, and then hard on the brakes, again missing this inside curb. It's a big bump there, turn 12, and then up to turn 13, and a little bit nervous to turn the car on this particular lap, but trying to get over that inside curve as much as possible. Onto the trickiest corner of this track, turn 14. The speed and radius basically meant that you could not go full throttle through there, constantly playing with the grip limit of the rear tyre, and we're going to find ourselves across the line on this lap for a 1 minute 32.32, which will be good enough to start out of position number 7 of this 20-minute race. So nice to be starting nearer the front for this one, coming around that final turn, waiting for the leader to jump away for the green light. He's making sure he is nice and straight out of that final corner before doing so, and it's a decent jump away. I have no one on my outside as we head down towards turn number 1. Kind of think about taking the racing line, but ultimately decide to be safe, run this nice inside line here, nice and defensive, nice and calm through turn number 1. Now in front, some chaos unfolds, and we've got 2 cars spinning, and we're going through the middle. That Porsche in front of me protecting me from the orange Porsche coming back on, and then as we come through turn number 4, the leader all by himself has spun to the outside, and just like that, chaotic opening corners, and we go from 7th to 3rd with some clean air behind, and find ourselves out of the wreckage nicely on this opening lap. Let's have a look at the replay, and there is absolute carnage behind as well. A car completely barreling through turn number 1, and then up in front you see the orange Porsche just checks up a little bit to the leader, the white McLaren down his inside, and that's the number 23 Porsche who takes a knock there from the spinning car, and as a battering ram it clears the path for me to cleanly go through. There's the spin for the leader, and we make our way through the carnage there very nicely and up to 3rd position, and immediately a podium is on the cards here in this 20-minute race. So cautiously here in position number 3, we make our way through the first few laps. We're trying to follow these Porsches up in front, and the Porsche did seem to be the best car around this Indy circuit, particularly this last sector. Watching the cars go through here, they always seem to have a little bit more confidence on the rear tyre, getting on throttle a bit earlier and stretching out a little bit of a margin. I was happy to sort of hang back. We've got a few seconds to the cars behind, and we can slowly start to find a little bit of time here. Now, it was working out for me relatively well. We were doing a nice consistent pace, not making too many mistakes at this point, and the mistakes were certainly going to be what would be our undoing here with that tidy gap behind. Slowly working out the finer points of this track as well. I've not driven this track on any other sim. And here at 12.5 minutes to go, we do make our first mistake here, just going a little bit hot into turn number 12, running wide, picking up an off track, and that drops us nearly a second back towards the cars behind. Moving into the halfway point of this race, and it was interesting as the race unfolded how I was still needing to drive this car. To be perfectly honest, I was expecting as the tyre warmed up to give me a lot more grip, particularly on the rear tyre, but as you can see in the pedal inputs there, we're still needing to be very cautious on the acceleration. There are a number of corners here where it was still not possible to go full throttle and turn at the same time. It made all of the driving really nervous, and you see another moment there, too hot on the brakes, trying to trail in too tightly there, almost losing the rear at turn number 12. So it was a constant nervous battle. See, coming through this turn 14 here, never been able to get full throttle the whole way around, and giving myself a bit of a pep talk here just to settle things down, not over push the car. As you sort of try and find time, starting to make those little mistakes. Now fortunately, as we come in towards the end of the race here, I had managed to compose myself a bit, hitting the brake markers that I knew were going to work for me, being nice and cautious on the throttle. See a long exit corner here, you just simply couldn't full throttle and turn the car all at the same time. So as we get into the final lap now, things were definitely starting to tighten up. I was making some progress on the position 2 car ahead, but the BMW behind was pushing me along in that. I had to be on my very best in these last few laps, and like I said before, just doing what I could to make sure I was getting around this track as quickly as I could. A mistake in this final lap was certainly going to cost me a podium. Likewise, a mistake from up front would gain me another position. It was all a case of all of us driving as hard as we could, and what would be this case here as we come into the final half of this last lap. We get a yellow flag ahead, and it's the leader who's made a little bit of a mistake into turn number 7, and his 4-second lead does come down to 2.5 seconds. So it was very clear that a mistake was going to be the deciding factor into the last part of this race. Out of turn 10, round turn 11 here, into this final sector, which has not been my strong point. I'm certainly not close enough to mount an attack here into these final corners. Getting it nicely and cautiously into turn 12, and just making sure we don't try and turn the car too much here at turn 13. Nicely on the throttle, and just one last corner to consolidate this podium. But it's a mistake up in front, wide for the Porsche. He tags the wall, checks up quite a bit, and we have to turn away in a hurry. Massive slide, just missing that car, and you can see the reaction at just how close that felt. I did in fact pick up a 4x contact as we went by that car, so how close were we to collecting a massive amount of damage here involved in this at the last lap. You see on the replay there just how close it was in the slow-mo, just coming through, and it's really a netcode 4x that we got there. But that was so close to being a much bigger accident, and both myself and the BMW behind sneak through for the podium positions. The Porsche limps across the line there in 4th place, and you just see how close it was. There's my first look at it in replay. Crazy close, but P2 position on the line there in race number 1. So it's on to race number 2 now. We've found ourselves back up into split 1, and I am the very bottom door card of this. This was going to be a very tricky race. However, some confidence from race number 1 had put me in a decent position, and we get across the line here in qualifying for a 1 minute 32.0. Open setups, so expecting things to be a little bit faster, but qualifying in 16th position from this 25 car GT4 field gave me a little bit of confidence that we might be able to sneak a result in this one with a nice clean race. Jumping away here into turn number 12 up to turn 13 with the LMP3 field front of us jumping away, we were able to get our race underway before this final corner, and we get a nice lot of space coming through here, but a big surprise as we get onto the throttle as soon as we touch full throttle, the car immediately pitches into a slide down towards the bottom of the track and hard into the concrete wall. To be honest, this was a really surprising moment. I had done lots of warm up on the opening lap trying to get some temperature in this car, and I had all confidence that I was going to be able to get on the throttle there. The car immediately letting go, and we get a big meatball flag as a result. Not a pretty picture. The race undone before we even hit the start line on lap number 1, and it was just a case of getting the 7.5 minutes of repair time done, getting back out on track, staying out of the way of these LMP3s, and ultimately my confidence was certainly hit from that moment and the rest of the race. Not really able to find any extra pace versus the fixed setup, really struggling around the circuit, and it wasn't a great race apart from the safety rating gain, the only decent thing to take away from this one. And things were not going to get any easier for me in race number 3. See my little BMW there, we've qualified down in 26th position, and it is a full contingent of Porsches with some very high I-rated drivers at the front of this field. A 1 minute 30.9, the pole sitting time in fixed setups, a country mile faster than what I can do in these cars around Indianapolis Road Course. So starting out of P26 as door card number 29 here, obviously in split 1, we're going to get a green light and underway on the outside of the last turn as we jumped away, slow on the exit there, and as we charge down towards turn number 1, I can only hope for a clean race and enough carnage around me to gain any positions here, I believe. Down into turn 1, we're on the outside, no one on our inside there as we make through turn number 1. Nice and cautious. We do have a spun car there on the middle of turn number 3, and then down towards turn number 4 here. The Porsche checks up a bit with that Mercedes in front. We just take the inside line to as a safer option, and coming out the other side there, slow on the exit. Didn't want to go side by side on cold tyres through the chicane, but it does allow the number 7 Porsche to roll up behind on the outside now as we come down towards turn number 7. On the brakes, obviously very cautious now on cold tyres after what happened in the first lap of the previous race. So it was just all nervousness from me, and we didn't want to have a repeat of that spin. So it was probably more cautious than in previous races, and just something I'm going to have to learn here with these GT4s and this new tyre model. Coming through the last sector now with the McLaren behind me, we're going to take things nice and easy through here. Last thing I want to do is cause myself to spin on this opening lap. Coming up to turn 13, we've got the one Porsche having a dive down the inside of another, bit of contact, a bit of a half spin there, so we do manage to pick up one more position coming around the final corner over the famous bricks at here Indianapolis Speedway here, and starting out this opening lap in 24th position, but a relatively clean lap from everyone involved. Now with 15 minutes and 55 seconds still to go, we have found ourselves in a nice little groove here. We're sort of holding position, holding that 24th place, finding our lines, waiting for the tyres to heat up a little bit. We've got a yellow flag up ahead. There is a spun car there on the inside of the circuit trying to rejoin, so that's going to move us up into position 23. And coming here on lap number 4, slowly starting to get some confidence back in this car with a nice green sector time. I say coming around the final corner here, a little bit of a slide, feeling the car get away a little bit. And it's those little movements, those little feelings in the car which were just really getting me nervous, really sapping my confidence, and in a way it really felt like I was driving on ice in these cars, and it's going to be a real challenge to undo some of that and learn where the limits are. Now quickly through turn number 1, we have another spun car here at the start of lap number 5, so we are slowly picking up positions here. Still a lot of pressure behind, so it could be easy to lose some, but we're slowly making our way up into a position where we might gain some I rating from this one. Now later in that lap we had a change of position in front, now directly behind the Ford Mustang there in the Castrol colours. As we come into turn number 12, 12. He misses the apex a little bit. He's quite slow on the exit. We have to check up, and then we get a bit of a dive here from the Porsche. Not really alongside enough, but I'm having to open the steering, let that car by, and essentially coming around this final corner and nice and slowly as a result. And it's now the number 8 Porsche as well, who is all over the rear bumper. He's going to move across and it's going to make his way past me here down into turn number 1. Ultimately, not really worth fighting this one at this stage. We still are on 0 incident points, and considering the safety rating gain I've had in the last few races, ultimately I wasn't going to turn my nose up to getting another big chunk of safety rating again. Pushing on to 3.5 minutes to go, and as you can see, we've definitely fallen away from that group of cars in front of me, and there were some quicker cars coming behind. We have been elevated up to position 20 thanks to a bit of carnage that happened at the front of the field, picking up a few positions, and that leaves us in this scenario here with a few minutes to go, just trying to hold on to this 20th position. Now coming through turn 4, and there is a bit of contact directly ahead. A couple of cars there into the gravel, one very slow and serving a slow down penalty as we head down the back straight. And that number 8 Porsche, we are able to go up to the outsides. We head into turn number 7. We do clear that car, but he is desperate to stay in front at this point, deep into the braking zone and holding that inside line, so up 1 position. But unfortunately, the small margin that we had on the cars behind, which was slowly coming down, was now disappearing. Another slow exit out of turn number 10 with dirty tyres for that Porsche number 8. We're looking to the outside here and immediately regret that, needing to come out of the throttle to keep the car turning and out of the wall. And now we'll be all pressure here with a couple of laps still to go in this race, and my hopefully tidy finish to this one is now going to be under a lot of pressure. Moving into those last few laps now, and it's the pink number 27 Porsche with plenty more speed than me. He dives down the inside into turn number 12 and into 13. We're going to hold a very tight defensive line here, trying to get on the throttle, but he's right there on the rear bumper. Now trying to get through turn 14, and the Porsche just so much better through that turn. I was seeing that again and again this race. So much more confidence those drivers had. We get a little bit of a bump draft here down the front straight of Indianapolis as we start the very final lap of this race. That Porsche with enough speed pulls to the inside, taking that inside line into turn number 1, but immediately we are under pressure again. Another Porsche behind and a Mercedes behind them. This will be a pretty tense final lap, trying to hold on to any of these positions. Coming towards turn 4, looking for a really clean exit here, patient on the throttle, get ourselves out of here. And as we come through a little bit of a slide through that first part of the chicane, got to come out of the throttle a little bit, and that's not the exit that I was looking for. Losing the slipstream up ahead, and that number 23 Porsche right on the rear bumper coming to the braking zone. He does have a little look down the inside, hard on the brakes. We hold it around the outside, which gives us the inside for turn number 8. Trying to hold nice and tight. I'm expecting him on my inside here at turn 9, which he's not, so we're going to run wide, and then we don't get this one right either. A little bit of a slide, bad exit, and the number 23 Porsche immediately up the inside. Now as we head up towards turn number 12, not the place to be. The Mercedes-Benz also with a good run, and he's right on the inside as well, so we're going to be hanging around the outside at turn 12, very very slow. And then in the mirror we get a bit of a jump scare. Car number 9 Porsche firing around at turn number 12 with lots of speed. I'm glad I wasn't choosing that inside defensive line there. I think he would have run straight into the back of me as a result. But we have somehow salvaged our 0x race, although we have lost 4 positions on the last lap of this one. A really scrappy, poor last lap from me in that race. Losing out, losing some iRacing, but more importantly 0x, almost big collision there with that number 9 Porsche after the finish line. But scrappy race, we're learning, we're trying in these GT4 cars, first experiences under the belt. What will the next week of GT4 racing bring for me? So first races in the new GT4s under my belt, what have I learnt? Well, the new tyres are awesome. Just like in the GT3s, they are a unique challenge when they are cold, and it's going to take me a little while to understand where the limit is through that warm-up phase. What surprised me most, however, was the other changes to this class. The increase in power as well as the reduction in Aero certainly has made a dramatic change to how these cars drive. In the old GT4 car, you could really jump onto the accelerator out of a corner, and it could certainly handle some full throttle and turning all at the same time. While I was expecting to have to deal with a bit of throttle modulation when the tyre was cold, what surprised me was how much I had to do even when the tyre was up to temperature through some of the fast, long corners like Indianapolis Road Course has. It'll be interesting to test these cars out at different circuits to see if this is something that we need to deal with week to week, but it certainly showed that these two changes have made a significant difference in the way these cars drive and how you get them around a circuit. The only thing that hasn't changed is the fact that I still have a lot to learn about these little GT4 cars. In no way have these changes put me off the cars, and if anything, I'm actually more excited about driving GT4s than I was last season. Of course, I would love to know what you think about these changes. If you've been driving these cars in weeks 1 and 2, what have you found differences in? How have you found the experience? Do you like them more or less than the old one? Let me know in the comments. I would love to have that discussion with you below. If you like this video, then please give it a big thumbs up. And if you're new around here, please consider subscribing to the channel. Race hard, stay positive. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.